Income is a broad term used to describe all sources of money obtained by individuals and households, and it can include public assistance, interest, dividends, Social Security payments, and retirement payments. Earnings are just one form of income. Compensation received for services performed for an employer is considered earnings. In fact, the U.S. Census Bureau collects data on more than 50 different sources of household income. A wage is what an employer pays an employee to work. Usually, wages are based on an hourly rate. A salary is payment for work for a set period of time, so it's usually an annual amount. A commission is payment based on the sale of a product or service. A bonus is an extra payment, usually based on performance. How you are ultimately paid will be based on the type of job for which you are hired. This, in turn, will be based on your background and qualifications. So what you need to remember about wages, salaries, and commissions is that the majority of those working in the United States are paid on an hourly basis. Income from tips and commissions is prevalent, especially for those employed in service and sales jobs. Salaries are generally tied to specific occupations and professions. Those who graduate from college and work in a professional field are often paid a salary. Those who work on commissions tend to earn quite a bit more than others. Keep in mind that it takes a relatively high level of risk tolerance to rely on commission income, particularly if your income is solely based on commissions. This explains why the turnover rate among salespeople is so high. The U.S. minimum wage is currently $7.25 an hour. This wage is periodically reset by Congress through the Fair Labor Standards Act, which was passed in 1938. Before the Fair Labor Standards Act was enacted, employees had to negotiate their personal wage rate and the number of hours they would work per week, which some employers took advantage of. Therefore, this law was put in place to protect those who were paid by the hour. Federal rules allow a minimum wage of $2.13 per hour for those who customarily and regularly receive more than $30 in tips per month. Restaurant servers are an example of those who fall under this rule. In this situation, the abundance and generosity of tipping customers determines their pay. Tips plus wages typically exceed the standard minimum wage in this case. Every state is entitled to enact minimum wage rules for employers within that state. For example, someone working for a fast food restaurant with 25 or fewer employees in California must be paid $10.50 per hour compared to the national minimum wage of $7.25 per hour in 2018. Some localities require an even higher minimum wage. Some states have a wage rate lower than $7.25 per hour. The reason is that not all jobs are subject to federal minimum wage rules. For example, very small businesses, hospitals, schools, public agencies, and some student learner programs are exempt from federal requirements. Special rules also apply to farm workers and families that employ their own children. In fact, family members are not entitled to automatic overtime pay. Some cities have enacted minimum wage laws that exceed federal and state minimums. For example, New York City requires employers who have 11 or more employees to pay a minimum wage of $13 per hour in 2018. Seattle has a minimum compensation of $15 per hour for employers with 500 or fewer employees in 2019. Workers who fall under the Fair Labor Standards Act must be paid at least 1.5 times or time and a half their regular wage when they work overtime. Overtime is defined as working more than 40 hours in 1 week. Overtime pay boosts earnings, but it is unwise to plan to earn overtime over a long period of time. Employers try to limit overtime as it is costly for the business. The difference in pay for those working in management positions compared to those in non management jobs is significant. This pay differential underscores the importance of human capital in driving your lifetime earnings. Typically, those in a management position earn more because these positions require more education and experience as well as the supervision of others. Some of the highest paid workers today earn their living primarily by selling products and services. So, put another way, they earn a commission. It's not unreasonable for a good salesperson to earn $50 or more per hour on average.